Welcome to another episode of Mission Compliance, Unleashing Growth Potential for Defense Contractors. If you're a defense contractor feeling overwhelmed, tired, and just plain done with trying to understand DFARS, NIST, SP 800-171, and CMMC, you found your home here with us. Today's episode is going to hit home for a lot of you. We're talking about something that might make you a little uncomfortable, but it's something you need to hear. It's about why you need to start charging more to protect your business, your data, and your sanity. That's right, why you need to increase your prices to stay secure and compliant. Let's crack this open and see what's really going on. Show me the money. We're joined once again today by Mike Frieder, President of On-Call Compliance Solutions and a CMMC Professional Assessor. And you like money. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, absolutely, Roman. You bet I do. You bet I do. Especially when it comes to helping our clients get it.
That might have to be your new nickname, Money Mike. There's a baseball player for the Atlanta Braves named Michael Harris II, and his nickname is Money Mike. But that might have to also be your nickname as well.
That's it. Well, I'll tell you what. You know what? A little secret is in our company sales channel. Whenever somebody's got a deal that's closing, my byline is show me the money. Let's see how it came in. So, absolutely 100%.
So, Mike, we have a lot to cover today. We actually have a bonus question because this is just such an important topic, and you do have a video about this topic on our YouTube channel as well. But this week we're talking about an awkward topic for some and a breath of fresh air for others, increasing prices. So let's jump right in and let's start with the hard truth. Why do you think so many defense contractors hesitate to raise their prices even when compliance costs are rising?
Yeah, so blows my mind sometimes when I'm talking with folks, and it depends on who you talk to, right? So if you talk to the salespeople, what the salespeople will often say is that we're in a hyper-competitive business. There's a lot of competition, and at the end of the day, they say there's no way we can raise our prices because we'll lose the bids. That's not true. If you're losing bids, it is almost never because of price in today's climate. Yes, there was a time when there was this thing called lowest price technically acceptable, and you had to go with the lowest price technically acceptable, and that's how government work went. However, it never went that way, in my opinion, in the defense industry. Defense is different. Defense has a different set of requirements by which they choose winners. So they will choose the winners based on merit. They will choose the winners based on price, yes, but they will also choose those based on who are actually best qualified to do the work, which includes what partners for the government are going to be more secure partners to work with. How secure you are to do business with is reflected in the idea that there is this thing called the supplier performance risk system that has to be referenced when bids are being evaluated. And I got to tell you, if you're not in that system, right, and you got a legal requirement to have an SPRS score, well, it's going to be real tough to basically even justify going with a company for a purchase if they're not even following the law. So the reality is that defense contractors, and particularly those in sales, have been carrying this byline since the 70s and 80s of this lowest price technically acceptable, and it doesn't exist. I'm sorry, like it just, that's not how, even primes are really making their decisions about who they're using. Look, it's like everything else in life, right? It's relationship driven, it's capability driven. It's who's going to basically make it so that I don't get fired for hiring you. And that is not the word price. It's just not. And so, I think that this whole sort of, stigma that you've got to, be the lowest price in the bid is just it's history. It doesn't exist anymore, in my opinion. Now, if you're selling a commodity like a screw, maybe that's the case. But still, if you've got a good relationship with that contracting officer or procurement officer, again, even if it's at a prime, right? So maybe you're not dealing directly with the DoD. The reality is that you just need to be in their ear explaining why a relationship with you is better than anybody else. And a huge part of competitive selling proposition, yep, you guessed it, it's compliance. And guess what? Compliance costs money. Believe me. We help our clients deal with that challenge every day. And so I'm a huge advocate that you need to actually dial in and figure out what is your real cost of becoming compliant. How much do our consultations cost? How much do the solutions cost to close the gaps and get compliant? And then what you need to do is factor all of that into your price, and then you need to also factor in some profit margin on the overhead time that your team employs to get compliant. I don't think there's any other way. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's fair. It's perfectly fair because the only customer in the entire world that requires this compliance specifically is the US Department of Defense. Sorry, that's where the requirement comes from, and there's a price to be paid to meeting that requirement. You can't operate a business with negative margins. It doesn't work. At least it sure doesn't work for long. So, there's a lot of resistance to this concept of going up on price. And we say, pish posh, kill the resistance and actually raise your prices. Because at the end of the day, you're going to raise your prices anyway. You are. It's statistically proven. You're going to have to raise prices just to keep up with inflation. Prices go up. This is normal. Do you want to gouge the government? No, that's a bad idea. But if you've got the documentation internally to justify why you need to go up 7, 8% to be able to cover your overhead, cover the cost of compliance, and have profit margin around that activity, because let's be honest, you might have hard cost of goods sold, like the piece of metal that was milled into the part they need. But there's a soft cost to that part, and it's the amount of money that you allocate towards that part having to be made under a compliant IT system or a compliant system and company in general. That's why, no pun intended, but that's why there are $100,000 toilet seats in the White House. No, the toilet seat isn't 100 grand, but it costs 100 grand to operate within this procurement model. Get the toilet seat there, get the people who install it past their government clearances, and that's all extra time that plumber or whatever it is has to be dealing with this situation. If you're not factoring that kind of stuff into price, all I can tell you is you're leaving money on the table, which might be the worst thing you could ever do in business. So yeah, Roman, I'm hugely passionate about it because one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is we're the only company that I've ever heard of that not only will help you get compliant, but will help you pay for it in the sense that we'll show you the real world techniques and tools that exist out there. I don't know if a lot of people know this. There is something called a FAR cost reimbursement contract. It's an entire FAR clause that says if you are incurring a cost unique to the needs of doing business with the government in the way that they mandate, you have the opportunity to recoup that cost. Do you know how many people I tell about that and it's the first time they've heard about it? Almost all of our clients. And it blows their mind. And then, I gotta tell you, not throwing anybody under the bus, but then a lot of people don't pursue it because they don't understand it. They don't want to take some time to research it. Now, again, this is an area that we can help in, but I will tell you, it is a conversation with the people involved in procurement. There is a cost to being compliant, and where there is a cost, well, there can be margin. So, a lot of opportunity to unpack in that one.
Do you think some defense contractors still underestimate just how expensive noncompliance can be? And if so, why is that?
I think 100% of defense contractors underestimate how expensive noncompliance can be because they simply think it won't happen to them. That's a fact. We talk to every one of our clients, and a lot of them that give us any resistance, they just simply don't think it will happen to them. Here's the reality. You can Google it. There is a laundry list of companies, big successful companies that are key partners to the government, and they get fined. And they get fined a lot of money. Like the government's not going after you for 5 or 10 grand, right? They're going after you in the millions because that's the scale of government. That's the scale of the penalty. It cannot be understated how horrific it is to not be compliant and do defense work. The first thing is first, which is we teach our clients to deliver a lot of pride and cultural implementation, if you will, when it comes to the idea that you're a U.S. defense contractor. That is something to be proud of. We're proud of it here at OnCall. It's a major part of how we think about ourselves and carry the company every day. And so as a result, we teach that to our clients. We say, look, when you're going over all these new policies and standard operating procedures and rules, don't forget to remind them of the why of why they're doing it. don't forget to remind them that there is a reason that they're having to do it, and it's because they do something awesome every day that not just any company can do. They do work that involves defending the country. And with that carries a burden, the burden to keep information secure. And when you do that, one, I gotta tell you, retention goes up. People want to be proud of what they do every day. They do. I mean, it's simple as that. All right. There's a great little Instagram video. I don't know if you've seen it, Roman, but it's of this big guy who is preparing popcorn at a movie theater. And, he gets like, one scoop of popcorn and he does a bunch of spins with the popcorn box and he dumps the butter in it. And then he like does some little dance with the box. He puts some more popcorn in it and he puts some more butter on it. And it's like the best looking movie theater butter popcorn you've ever seen in your life. That dude's got pride with what he's doing every day. It's a privilege to watch that dude work. And you can bet that guy loves his job as long as his boss isn't basically a dickhead and stops him from having a little fun in what he does, which I think is critical to how, and it makes the customers happy when they're watching the show. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, right? When you can really have pride about the work you're delivering every day, well, you'll never lose that employee. And you'll have the employee show up on time and do the stuff he's supposed to for the most part. And you just get less guff about dealing with that employee. It's when they don't have that why. It's when they don't realize the significant importance of what their contribution does for the world. Man, that's when you got problems with employees. That's when you've got people who won't go all in on the job. That's when it's harder to manage those people and they really just want to punch a clock. So to me, it's such a huge opportunity wasted to not really take time to emphasize that, to not be on that concept. Yeah, I think, that's just one of those things that really can't be lost. There's profit in retention. There's profit in a stable workforce. All of those things can be reinforced, believe it or not, through compliance. And we love to show our clients how. I mean, I would almost go on a limb and say, you can't really believe the value that we deliver when we come and work with a company in terms of these kinds of concepts. Who would ever think that being compliant could be the gateway to a why on how you can improve employee retention? But On-Call knows how to get it done. On-Call understands how to make a better place to work out of a tough situation following rules. And it's something that I think there's just no other company in the world that does it like we do.
I have seen that popcorn video, and I'm hoping to go to the movies later today, and I'm gonna get me some popcorn. So there you go.
It's actually
Can
really
you?
ironic. I'm going to the movies later tonight. I never go to the movies. I'm not a big movie guy, but I think we're going on a double date with another couple, and I am definitely getting movie theater butter popcorn because why not?
What are you seeing?
He said it's with this other actor that's in this other thing, um, Acquisition or something like. I can't remember what it is,
Is it?
but
I haven't heard of that. Is it the accountant? Is it the amateur? What?
maybe it's the amateur. I think. Yeah, it's
I
the
think
amateur.
that's what I'm going to see tonight.
Oh, is it really? Yeah, we're gonna go see it.
Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, he was trying to find an IMAX to see it at,
that
but
would be that'd be epic.
yeah, we have like kind of close near us. It's a nice theater, but I don't think it's quite like a full-on IMAX experience. But apparently, there's not very many of those in my area
That's
yet.
true. That's true. But staying on topic, can you walk us through some of the hidden or recurring costs that most companies don't anticipate when budgeting for compliance?
Yeah, I would say all of it. It's interesting. There's two kinds of companies that we deal with. We deal with a lot of startups, or SBIR award winners, Small Business Initiative Research Award winners, who become aware of it through their contracting officer, whose job is to kind of like baby step them through things. Um, so that's one type. And for those folks, they get an early preview. They're really small in size. It's much easier to become compliant. It's much cheaper to work with us, and things like that, right? There's just less that it takes to close a gap that doesn't even exist in the first place because you're not handling CUI yet. The second kind of company we work with are already established companies. They've already got their IT systems, they've already got things in place, and that's a much harder boat to turn and takes a lot more effort and education because now you've got preconceived notions on how security should have been. You've got solutions that are in place that you might have to uproot. And it is what it is. And of course, we cost money. I won't kid you, right? We have pricing that properly scales from companies of a size of one employee, sole owners, to literally we have clients that are, well over 10 billion in revenue, global companies. We've had companies that are over 60,000 employees. And I will be proud to tell you that price objections on our services are almost never the issue. That is not why someone chooses to not work with us. Many times, in fact, once they've talked with our folks, the only reason they don't work with us is because they either decide that defense work is not for them because we do free education with them. We don't want to work with people who get surprised by anything. We want to give them the education for free up front. It's part of what this podcast is about, our YouTube channel. We're like, look, let's make a true educated buyer, and then it's a no-brainer as to why everybody works with on-call. For us, that's a very successful strategy. So yeah, basically, I think there's the cost of working with us. There's the cost of closing gaps, which I'll tell you what, working with on-call is the best way to minimize that expense, right? We're going to be able to narrow the scope. We're going to be able to show you all the tools that are already proven. We already have very cost-effective solutions for closing the gaps. Look, we're constantly reviewing solutions to see if we can get better options for our clients. We are a machine when it comes to compliance. But again, I think that the reality is some people just have like little to no IT security in place. And if you're one of those, expect to spend some money on IT security. How much? I think a good rough margin is probably spend $100 per user per month. That's typically a good number and a running average that I see people spending on getting compliant from where they are. So there's a good budgetary number for you. And then, look, you're going to spend some money on consultations with us. That price scales with the size company you are and the complexity of what you've got going on that we need to make compliant. And then, I'll tell you what, the other big piece of this is, do you have to move to Office 365 GCC High? You need to understand that you may have to migrate your email. That's an IT project cost. You're going to have to pay for the Microsoft Office 365 licensing up front because they only do it annually. And then you're going to have to, potentially look at spinning up Azure virtual machines, not in every case, but in some cases, and there's cost there. I will tell you though, for every cost, you're probably at a fairly minimal amount of money to get there because you probably already have money you either are spending or should have been spending that just needs to be allocated somewhere else to be compliant. I got to tell you, even our small companies get through this, right? That's the whole point of why we designed our micro program is to help where, again, God bless the government, but their programs are not effective. We had a company who wound up coming to us a year later. We pitched them on our solution. They said, no, I heard there's some free stuff going on for the government. We said, well, you get what you pay for. Let us know when you get compliant. And of course, our sales teams followed up. And a year later, they still weren't compliant. They said, dude, I can come work with you for 2 days and get this handled. All right, game on. Let's go. And this happens all the time, Roman. I mean, we have a huge pipeline of clients that try to do it some other way, work with somebody else, go to the government, take a free program. There's no free lunch. Okay. Cybersecurity experts are expensive. Okay. They're not cheap. Believe me, if you want to see my payroll, your eyes will water. All right. It's not easy. But what I will tell you is that when you get the right help and the right experts, this entire compliance thing does not have to take 6 to 24 months. It doesn't have to be full of hugely expensive solutions. Uh, it can be simple. We do it in a matter of days. And, I think that there is a cost to that. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know any clients of mine who haven't been able to very much recoup that cost in terms of extra defense work one.
All right, Mike, here you go. Keep this on-call advertisement rolling because here's a softball for you to finish up. For smaller defense contractors worried about price increases, how can on-call help them create a compliance strategy that's both secure and sustainable? Go.
Yeah, so first place to start working with us is let's do a gap analysis plus a solution design. Anybody that offers you a product as a small business of a gap analysis is a little bit like going to a therapist, okay? Uh, you go, you sit in a room, you cry about all your problems. They tell you it turns out you have even more problems than you ever imagined. And then you leave. You leave the therapy session and there's no answers. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. If you want to know, about all your problems, I don't know. I was about to make a joke about my wife for just a second. I love my wife, don't get me wrong. But it's like if I want to know what all my problems are, I'll just go ask my wife and she'll tell me what every one of my problems are and offer no solutions. You don't need a wife. right? You need solutions, baby. All right, you need solutions. We don't ever do a gap analysis without also giving you a way to solve for the gaps that we find. And I will tell you that is such a fault in this industry. The other thing is we focus on your company getting compliant, not giving you a compliant solution. Then you still got to go figure out actual compliance so that you can be legal and pass CMMC. We only do one thing, which is we find where your gaps are, we document it all, and then we give you the answers to be compliant. That's what we do, right? We help you solve all these problems. If you're not getting solvency, don't buy it. Look, small companies, you can work with us. It's under $10,000. If you really have no money, you can go to OnCallAcademy.com, and for under $500, you can buy a do-it-yourself course. Now, look, I'm not going to kid you. It's going to take you 6 months to run through that course. It's not easy. I'll also tell you that 85% of people who buy that course wind up eventually stepping up into our consulting. But you got to start somewhere. I mean, you're legally required to, so you got to do something. So, one of the things that we've worked so hard to do, is to build solutions that exist at every price point to help people who are in the defense industry stay in the defense industry, to help people who aren't in the defense industry come into the defense industry and be competitive. So, if you're out there and you're like, I got no money, or if you're out there and you're like, I'm a small business, I don't know if I can afford it. Here's what I'll tell you. One, you can afford it. Simply put, if you're winning work from the DoD, you can afford it. I'm telling you. And it doesn't matter because you can build our expenses into your bid. Yes. So in effect, you won't have to pay anything, right? You just got to do it right. And our people can teach you how to do that. So with that in mind, no, we're not expensive. If you're a mid-tier business, right? You got some momentum, baby. You got, 5, 6 employees or up to even 25 employees. Cool. We have a mid-tier pricing solution for you, and it's not terribly expensive. Again, I think it's like under $20,000. It's just not very expensive. And if you're a larger company, guess what? We've got a very cost-effective solution to you. I am not aware of anyone who's given a price objection who is a company over 25 employees to what it takes to start working with us. I'm not aware of it happening. If it has happened, I can guarantee you one of my sales team members are going to come right over to me and they're going to go, Mike, this guy's giving me a hard no on price. You got to help me out. All right. Look, we price this stuff to be very fair. And by the way, we build huge discounts in if you come and talk with us and can make a quick decision so my sales team doesn't have to go hunt you down for the next 6 months. Like there's like a 40% discount if you just accept the proposal within something like 28 days. And sooner for smaller companies because you don't need a long decision-making window, but larger companies do. So again, I'll put it all out there. It's all out here on the podcast. Okay, boom. There's how it works. I want to take the fear out of that phone call to us because we got nothing to hide. We're the most cost-effective solution in existence that is the most complete solution that actually addresses what the real problem is, which is your company getting compliant, not what everybody else does, which is they just sell a compliant solution, leaving you on the hook to figure out all of the rest of compliance for your company on your own. Period. In the words of
All right.
Roman, mic
All
drop.
right. Yeah. All right, Mike. Quick, silly question for you. We know because guys, Money Mike is busy. He's got places to be. Got to go
I
make
know. I
money.
got
So,
I got a meeting in like three
so,
minutes.
so, quick, silly question for you to wrap this up. And maybe this question is more for the audience listening, but you can give us kind of the idea of maybe what it should be. If your pricing model was a security guard, would it be or should it be James Bond or the guy asleep in the mall food court?
Man, I mean, we know that question has got to be James Bond, right? You got to be smooth. You got to be a smooth operator. My favorite F1 driver right now is actually Carlos Sainz. I really like that guy. I think he got a screw job from Ferrari. I'm a big Ferrari fan, but look, you want to be a smooth operator. And the way to be a smooth operator is to know what all the options are. Some compliance procurement people care about compliance. It's a big hot topic. Big. If you can talk that talk and you know how to wheel and deal, dude, smooth operator. You're going to get more wins than you've ever gotten before because you can talk their language. And the language is keeping our information secure and getting the job done with high quality. That's what they want. So, yeah, I would say James Bond all the way. And you know what? Even if you don't think of yourself as a James Bond, the answer is you can become an on-call compliance hero for your company. and you know what? Help them bring home the wins.
All right, Mike, we'll let you go make money, so feel free to drop if you got to, and I'll wrap this one up. That wraps up another great episode of Mission Compliance. We hope our discussion today has provided you with valuable insights, practical strategies, and inspiration to navigate the ever-evolving world of defense. We'd like to thank Mike for joining us and talking to us about the very important yet sometimes awkward topic of increasing your prices. Thanks, Mike.
Hey, always a pleasure, Roman.
But the conversation doesn't end here. We encourage you to continue exploring these topics and connect with us on our social media channels. Share your thoughts, ask questions, and engage with fellow listeners using the hashtag Mission Compliance Podcast. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you always know when new episodes like this one are released. And we truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate and review the show. Your feedback helps us to continue to bring you thought-provoking episodes and high-quality content. And I just realized how fast I'm talking. Join us next time as we delve further into the dynamic world of defense, security, and industry innovation. Until then, take care, stay informed, and make compliance your mission. See you next time.
Thanks, everybody.